My guest today, Dean Cracknell, is the co-founder and director at Town Team Movement. He inspires, guides, and trains people to be placemakers and positive change makers. We need to create places where people want to be in and where humans thrive. Town Team Movement enables local communities and government to connect, organize, and act to regenerate the fabric of their neighborhoods and to create better places. In this episode, Dean shared his journey from Town Team to Town Team Movement and his perspective on change. Assalamu alaikum and hello everyone. I'm Asban Sari, the founder of the organization Peacemakers Pakistani, and I'm bringing you the stories of placemakers, artists, and professionals from around the globe about how they created an impact and made change happen. You are listening to the Making It Happen show. Thank you for joining in. Enjoy the episode. Well,
Hello, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Good to see you. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Oh, thank you very much for having me. It's a real honor to be on the show.
I'm glad that you appreciate it. Tell me where are you living right now and how's the weather or something like that, things about you and where are you right now?
Yeah, hi Asbar, and thanks for having me on the show. So I live in Tasmania, which is an island at the bottom of Australia. So it's a beautiful place. There's a lot of mountains and nature, and have the privilege of working in many places around Australia, but live here in beautiful Tasmania.
Awesome. Okay, so you are doing great work with the Town Team Movement, and we have been together on multiple calls with the placemaking X. So I was looking forward to this interview. So I'm so happy that you have joined me today. So let's begin with our questions. Okay, so how did you find a passion for public spaces and placemaking?
Yeah, I think I've always been interested in places and people. So I remember even as a kid making towns in the sand and the beach on family holidays, and really loved history and geography and those kinds of subjects when I was studying at school, and really always had a passion for traveling in different countries and learning about different cultures and history. So I think it started very early, but I never knew about urban planning or placemaking for a very long time. But always just been really interested in cultures and people, and learning more about how different people live. And it's also different and diverse, but at the end of the day, we're all have those human qualities and human reasons to connect as well. So I also studied sociology and politics when I left high school and went to university, and there was never any use in the job market for things like sociology and politics, but it's been invaluable on my journey, particularly in urban planning, but also at Town Team Movement. So it's funny how the things that you enjoy and that you might study a long time ago can come back to really to help. And then I did a lot of traveling, lived overseas in Japan and America and the UK, and really enjoyed going to lots of different countries and meeting lots of different people, and got to about 30 years of age and thought, well, I might need a career now. So I saw this newspaper article about urban planning, and it sounded really interesting, and I signed up to do a Masters of Urban and Regional Planning, and was so glad I made that decision to go back to university, because from that first day, being in that urban planning classroom and meeting like-minded people who also love cities and towns, yeah, I found my place, and that's really helped me to get where I am today.
That's a very sweet journey and very direct, one thing leading to the other. So it's awesome. And I'm glad that you stick to your passion or your interest, and you're doing great work and contributing a lot of things which are helpful to us. Okay, so would you like to share the journey of working from first Town Team to the Town Team Movement, the vision and story of establishing the enterprise?
Yeah, so having done some of the university study and being passionate about urban planning, I was lucky enough to work in 2 local governments in Perth, in Western Australia. And local government is on the grassroots and the ground level, managing all aspects of urban planning and not only strategic planning, but development assessment and making sure that buildings comply with relevant regulations and things like that. So I really started from the bottom, working in local government. And I guess I was very hardworking and committed and passionate, and I had some really good managers who helped me and gave me opportunities to learn. So I think that was like such an important grounding to understand about policy and bureaucratic practices and how things work behind the scenes, but also how you can make change. So I was lucky to be working on strategic planning documents and town planning schemes, and realised that they could actually be changed, even if it was a lot of work. But it was worthwhile really doing that hard work up front and making those policy changes, which then can lead to outcomes. But I also was a bit frustrated with urban planning and local government because it took a long time for anything to change or to happen. So even though I knew we were heading in the right direction, I had lots of ideas of what other people should be doing and what should happen on the ground. And after a while, I realised that if I got these ideas and got this knowledge and learning and have these connections, that I should really be doing things in my own local community as well. So I found a group in my local neighbourhood in Perth, and they were doing some fantastic things. So I think that group had been going for about 2 or 3 years before I got involved. And they were doing, they put on a big street festival every year, which generated huge interest and really helped support the local businesses in the area and brought that community together. And I thought that's kind of a group that I would like to be part of and contribute and help out where I can. So I got involved with the Beaufort Street Network, and I was amazed at the passion of the people in that team and in the neighbourhood, and they really loved their place and they knew about it and they knew all the history and they knew who was doing what and what the local businesses liked and didn't like and how they might contribute. So it was a really fantastic way to connect with my local area, but also feel that I could actually do something and I could contribute and use some of my skills and knowledge, but also learn a lot from other people. So I was working in local government and I was doing this in my nighttime hours and on weekends. So I was really living and breathing it for 24/7. So, but having that understanding of both how local government works and then how community groups work, I think really helped. And then a lot of other groups were starting to see what was happening in this neighbourhood and asking questions about how they might want to do it in their own local place, or we're having these particular problems, what do we do? Or can you come and talk to us or talk to our local government about what's happening? So I was noticing this, but then there was another group of volunteers as well that there were similar groups in close by neighbourhoods, and we started to connect and share ideas and realised that we were probably making similar mistakes and we needed similar kinds of help, and we didn't know each other existed. So we started sharing ideas, and a volunteer group said, well, this is working really well and it's really helping these community groups. So how could we make that better and how could we help more community groups? So it started with a lot of conversations and meeting people, but we decided to form a new not-for-profit company to help community groups in Perth. And Perth's a fairly big city in Australia in terms of 2 million people, which is a big city for us in Australia. But then we said, well, why just Perth? Why not the rest of the state? And then why not the rest of the country? So, yeah, that's how it sort of started. And we started everything from scratch, but we learned a lot and were inspired by a lot of community volunteers who've been doing this for a long time. So our role is to really learn from people, help where we can, inspire new teams to form, and help connect those different groups that otherwise would not know about each other. So yeah, it's a fun journey to be on, and hopefully it's making some impact.
That's fun. Yeah, that's great. And I think it's a natural process because I'm also on the very beginning level of it. And I think this is how it's evolving. Like I had been panicking before, like how to make bring more people together, but it is a slow process and it is rewarding as well. And yes, it's a fun journey. I enjoy meeting people now and then having a like mindset people together and then going towards one end. That's amazing. And I really enjoyed the way you were telling every step of the journey, one by one, and how you remember it all. So it's very lovely to hear that. Okay, so you want to create places where humans can thrive. So how do you describe such places?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think some places make you feel good when you're there, and maybe inspire you or make you feel relaxed or feel happy. And then there's many places that don't. So I think human beings naturally gravitate to the places that they like and where they feel comfortable or they have reasons to connect there. But everyone's different as well. So what I like and what makes me thrive might be very different to other people. And it also looks different in different cities and in different countries and different cultures because we all like different things. So I think we need lots of different kinds of places to help people thrive. And sometimes you feel like you want to be around lots of people and have lots of excitement and bustling and vibrancy, and other times you feel like a quiet space. So even with individuals, you might need a variety of spaces in order to thrive. So I think a city or a place needs different spaces, so you can thrive at different times of the day, or different people can thrive. And it's a little bit like an ecosystem. I think each animal species and each plant has different needs. So if we can provide a really diverse ecosystem, then different plants and animals can thrive. And the same with cities as well. We need a lot of different spaces and places for people to thrive, and what suits them at that time. So it's really up to people to decide where they thrive, and hopefully we can create more of those places where people thrive and feel happy and feel connected, and less of those places that feel hostile or unsafe or dangerous or uncomfortable for people. So yeah, but we need to keep working on those places where humans thrive.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so I think that best could be answered and linked to the next question, which is in your bio. You emphasize the idea of acting local. What do you mean by that, and why is it significance? Okay, so I found the answer to this one. Like one point to this was that people know better that where they can thrive, and providing them or creating such places for them is one of the targets. So acting local is beneficial in that regard, right? So what else do you mean by that, acting local, and how do you emphasize it more and more and making people realize that they need to act for themselves, for themselves, they have to take actions. I find it difficult here to make people take actions for themselves, like they are more dependent on the government or the authorities to take action. They feel that um, their actions are not important or something like that. How would you advocate for that, or how would you convince them?
Yeah, it's similar here in Australia too, and I think that's happened over the course of decades or maybe even generations, where people do feel disengaged and disempowered, and that it's not my problem, it's someone else's job, or the government says we'll look after it, you don't need to do anything, or stops people making change. So we think that acting local is really important because it's easy to give up, and it's easy to be disappointed and turn on the news and see all the challenges that the world's having and the problems and the issues, and feel that you can't do anything. So acting local is a really important spirit for us, because acting local can be many different things. So but it's about action. I had lots of ideas when I was working in local government, and looking around me and seeing all those opportunities, but without action, nothing changes. But there's also many personal benefits by doing things, acting local, which also gives you a reason to connect with others and learn from them, and see change actually happen. So I think that it is possible to create change, and lots of small actions can make a really big difference. So yeah, acting local is crucial.
Yes, and it's the main thing of placemaking movement as well. Okay, so you live in Launceston. I hope I'm pronouncing the name right. I have Googled it and it's a beautiful place. So, what do you love about it and cherish most about your city or your place?
Yeah, Tasmania is a beautiful state. For people who don't know about it, it's got lots of mountains and forests. It's a very rural place, a lot of farms. And we're one of the first places in the world to actually have more than 100% renewable energy already. And the state's goal is for 200% renewable energy. So it's a pretty amazing and special place. And Launceston is the second biggest city. So Hobart's the capital city. Launceston is at the junction of three rivers, and it's a very rich agricultural area, beautiful produce, cheeses and wines and vegetables and things like that. And it's a very historic place for Australia. Again, it's over 200 years old, which for us, I think it's an old city, but because it was built a long time ago, it's got beautiful old buildings, and it's a very walkable and compact city centre. So, and the other thing, I guess, from a tourism perspective, it's one of the 50 cities of gastronomy in the world. So that's about food being grown in that area, being improved in that area, and served in restaurants or in local food shops as well. So it has a beautiful food and wine culture, and yeah, one of the cities of gastronomy in the world. So it's a great place to come and visit as a tourist, and it's a really fantastic place to live.
And I would love to be there, and I hope that I do visit it and enjoy the place because I would love to. It's a beautiful place, mashallah. Okay, so what are the challenges and opportunities you face in public spaces in Tasmania and like in the past and in the present as well?
Yeah, I always start with the opportunities rather than the problems, but because it's fairly historic, it's got some beautiful city centres and town. Excuse me. Sorry about that. It's got some beautiful buildings and history in the area, and it's got lots of markets and things like that. So it's a very naturally beautiful city and state. It's got some real character and identity too. So it is different in Tasmania compared to the rest of Australia. I think it's got an identity. Other places in Australia seem to be similar, but Tasmania is a bit different. Some of the challenges, Tasmania and Australia generally have a very tragic history. So the things that were done to traditional landowners and Indigenous cultures here is shocking and terrible. So I think we still have a long way to go to recognise the knowledge and the connection and the wisdom and experience of traditional cultures and Indigenous people here. So we need to work on that and make it more noticeable and more celebrated, because we have one of the longest and oldest cultures in the world. Australian Aboriginals have been in the country for 60 to 80,000 years. So we've got a lot to learn and a lot to celebrate and be proud of, but we need to get much better in recognising that Indigenous culture and history. And similar to many places around the world, we've got a lot of places that are dominated by cars. So it does feel hostile, particularly in the newer suburban areas, whereas we do have some beautiful city centres and town centres as well, but we need more spaces for people and less spaces for cars.
Right. And the issue of cars is happening around the world, and unfortunately, that um, a lot of people are progressing from it. Like they are inclining towards making places for people and for pedestrians, basically. I wish to see more places to do that, and especially my own country. And yes, about the Tasmania, now I'm more curious about it, and looking forward to being there because of its character. And I love historical places, so natural and historical places. So thank you for sharing about that. Okay, so lastly, what is the impact of small projects to you? Like, what is their significance? How do you advocate for them?
Yeah, big projects sound amazing, and there's a certain magic about a huge infrastructure project or something big and grandiose and exciting. But often they're visions that never materialize, and people get excited and then disappointed, and things don't always turn out the way they're promised. So small projects are so important because firstly, you can try different things and be more creative when you start small. You've got more permission to try something that's not been done before or make some mistakes or be a bit more innovative. And I think being more inclusive when you see something small and fairly immediate happening quite quickly, feels like you can connect and relate to it more. Um, bigger projects take a long period of time, and people might come and go from the area or forget what we were even doing this project for again. But there's something really nice and tangible about a quick win project that can be done. And it also demonstrates that change is possible, and sometimes helps people who are unsure or skeptical about that change. They can see what it actually could look like if we just did a lighter, quicker, cheaper change to a space to test if it works and update it and improve it before we go to something bigger. So I think smaller projects are often the better way to start. And then if it goes really well or you learn some things, that can help you improve when you go to something bigger and do a bigger project down the line. So we need more small projects.
Great. Okay, so during our interactions, what I have loved about you or what I've learned from you is that your choice of words is so amazing. Like you say, you give huge lessons in few words. So just now you shared amazing and lesson that is small spaces are more small. The small spaces have the possibility of being inclusive and thus more interactive. And if we have more small chunks of interaction, moments of interaction or inclusive spaces, we can have a great place overall. So this was a great point to focus on while we are creating, while we are making changes in the city. So thank you so much. In a very short time, you have taught me a lot of things, and it was amazing. Okay, so now these were the questions that was exclusive for you. Now I will ask the questions that I ask everyone else to know more about them. Okay, so Dean, what drives you? What keeps you focused on on your work and public spaces in particular?
Yeah, it's a tough question. I don't know exactly, but what I think it is seeing people step up and get involved and maybe feel a bit unsure at the start, but then seeing the joy and the confidence and the pride that people feel when they do things. So I think that's a really important driver for me. I love helping people. I love learning from people. So I think they're the things that drive me, and I guess I'm very determined as well. So I've got probably sort of an innate drive to be doing this, but really seeing what other people make of it and what other people do with these opportunities, I think that really helps to fuel my energy and gives me more determination to keep doing this.
That's very kind of you. Okay, so would you like to share any memory of a proud moment of your work life?
Yeah, I think what I'm most proud of is, again, seeing people do things that they want to do to improve their local area. And that's amazing when it's one or two people or one group. But we're on this fortunate journey at Town Team Movement where we're creating a movement of these people and these teams. So there's 121 teams now, and they might each have 5 or 10 people in them, maybe more. And to see them achieving what they want to in their area makes them proud and makes us as a movement feel proud, and then helps make me feel proud as well. And I think there's a lot of parallels with the placemaking movement around the world too, and people like yourself. So I would have never had a chance to talk to you and meet you except through this connection and this shared passion of the placemaking movement. So that feels good and makes me feel proud and want to keep doing this.
Awesome. Okay, so what you have shared, it made me feel that it's a quality of a great leader, that he wants others to rise and he wants others to succeed and live a healthy life. So thank you for being a great leader. Okay, so any memory of a hardest or struggling moment of your work life? You all have some.
Yeah, it's not always been easy. I've had a lot of hard times. I remember working in local government in particular, I felt like giving up many times. And even starting Town Team Movement too wasn't easy. But those difficult days are less and less, and now I never feel like giving up, because I'm seeing the progress that's being made and meeting amazing people in Australia and in Tasmania and around the world. And I think sometimes the hard moments can make you question and think more deeply about yourself, learn more about yourself, and develop new skills. So sometimes the hard moments can actually help you when you look back as well. So if everything was easy, you wouldn't learn as much. I think you actually learn more in the challenging and the hard times. You don't learn as much when it's fun and easy. So I think it can actually make you stronger and better by not avoiding the hard things and stepping outside your comfort zone and doing things that you may not normally feel comfortable with. That can actually make you better.
Yeah, that was motivating and high spiriting. My spirit is up now. Okay, so what is your favorite placemaking mantra or any quote that helps you keep focus on the work?
Yeah, there's two that come to mind. So I was very inspired by a quote from President John F. Kennedy. I remember seeing this online and something just went off in my head. But he said, I always thought that someone else should do something until one day I realized I was someone. And I'm not sure if he was saying that personally about himself, but for me, that was a really good encapsulation of my story, because I always thought that someone else should do something and have all these great ideas, and it's very much an ideas person, but then I realized that I needed to do something about it as well. And the other one from a very famous quote from Mahatma Gandhi, that be the change you want to see in the world. And I just think that's so empowering and inspiring as a quote too.
Yeah, lovely. Okay, so do you have any opinion about Pakistan or the placemaking in Pakistan?
Yes, so when I think of Pakistan, I think of three things. So I love cricket. So I think of cricket games and fantastic cricket players. Australia and Pakistan share that love of cricket and sport generally. The second one is the friendly people. So there are a lot of Pakistani people in Australia and lived in the UK as well, and met Pakistani people there, and such beautiful, friendly, warm people. So that would be the second thing. And the third thing, I love mountains. So I also think of the beautiful places and mountains in Pakistan. So yeah, they're the three things I think of.
Oh, thank you so much. It makes me happy. I'm impressed that you have been observant about it and that you appreciate it. I love that. And yes, I would love to host you here as well. So let me know if you ever intend to come here. Because yes, the mountains are pretty and the mountains are beautiful over here and the places are amazing and the people are indeed very welcoming and friendly. Alhamdulillah. Okay, so lastly, is there any advice that you would like to give the young professionals who are joining in?
Yeah, you can do this as well. I think it's such a fantastic journey to try. So I think my advice would be to try, to give it a go, find out what your superpower is and what you like to do or what you might want to develop, because I think it's a fantastic way to develop yourself personally and professionally. You learn lots of things and you meet new people, but you can be the change you want to see in your part of the world as well. So give it a try, make some mistakes, meet people, learn from them, and yeah, it's such a great journey to be on. So give it a go and be the change.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dean. It was lovely talking to you. I've learned a lot of things and I'm looking forward to more in the future. And you're a great leader. Thank you so much for inspiring us.
And thank you for the work you're doing too. It's amazing and very inspiring for people like me too. So thank you for what you're doing too.
I'm glad. I'm honored. Thank you so much. Take care and see you soon. Bye-bye.
Okay, thank you. Bye.